The divine right of kings is a concept that claims a monarch's right to rule is derived from heavenly, not earthly, authority. It might seem like an absurd idea today, but it actually has biblical roots. Simply put, the divine right of kings is a political and religious doctrine that asserts kings are granted authority by God. In its strongest form, monarchs are not subject to the will of the people, parliament, or any other human institution. The doctrine was formalized with 16th and 17th century thinkers like Bishop Jacques Benin Bousset, who claimed, "The royal throne is not the throne of a man, but the throne of God himself." But kings had been claiming divine authority since biblical times. Saul, the first king of Israel, is described in the book of Samuel as being anointed by God. The prophet Samuel pours oil over Saul's head and tells him, "The Lord has anointed you to be prince over his heritage." And it seems Saul was protected from earthly retribution even when he sinned due to his special position. When he tried to kill David, David refused to retaliate, saying, "May the Lord not let me put out my hand against my leader, for he is the Lord's chosen one." In the New Testament, there are also hints that God places certain people in positions of authority. Jesus responds to Pilate's questioning with, "You have no authority over me at all unless it had been given to you from above." And in the book of Matthew, when the Pharisees question Jesus regarding whether they should pay taxes or not, Jesus tells them, "Render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's." It could be interpreted that Christ indicates certain possessions rightfully belong to Caesar. Later, theologians like Augustine of Hippo supported the idea that God gives some people authority. He wrote in his seminal work, City of God, that, "For the wisdom of God thus speaks, by me kings reign." But Augustine added a caveat. He posited that in order for rulers to maintain their legitimacy, they had to obey God and rule their people justly. This early form of divine right theory, then, not only granted rights to monarchs, but demanded obligations too. By the early Middle Ages, rulers were using Bible passages and theologians' work to justify their positions of power. Charlemagne, drawing on the Old Testament and work of Augustine, saw his position as bestowed by God in order to fulfill his divine plan. Like Augustine, Charlemagne also understood that authority came with responsibility. A ruler was responsible for both the spiritual and material well-being of his subjects. Kingship entailed service to the people. Other kings supported this model too. Alfred the Great believed in a divine hierarchy where all authority flowed from God. His throne, lands, and people had all been placed under his care by the Creator. He understood his relationship to his subjects as Christ did his flock. He expected complete loyalty, but was also willing to give everything for their sake. Alfred viewed his lordship as a sacred bond instituted by God for the good governance of man. Alfred and Charlemagne embodied an early version of divine right theory, which still allowed the church and papacy a role in spiritual matters. But as the Reformation severed some monarchs' relationship with the papacy, a different form of divine right theory was promoted. In Protestant England, as the Acts of Supremacy broke off the English Church from Rome and declared Henry VIII and his successors the supreme head of the Church, kingship became even more absolute. The king was not even accountable to the Pope. In 1610, James I of England delivered a shocking speech to Parliament, stating, "The state of monarchy is the supremest thing upon earth. For kings are not only God's lieutenants upon earth and sit upon God's throne, but even by God himself they are called gods." Even here, proponents look to a verse in Romans chapter 13 for support, where Paul refers to rulers as God's ministers. But it wasn't long before the concept lost most of its support. The Glorious Revolution in England effectively ended the popularity of the concept, at least in the English-speaking world. Today, few support the theory, but it's intriguing to learn how past monarchs and theologians supported it with biblical references. From a Christian perspective, it's hard to argue against the basic claim that God grants some people authority on earth. But the theory's stronger form, granting rulers absolute authority, is nearly universally rejected today. What do you think? Are there any merits to the theory? Can monarchy be supported biblically? Thanks for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like more. Also, please check out our X account for daily content like this, and consider becoming a member of our channel to support our work. Catch you next time.